There was an idea to take a group of villains and make them anti-heroes and have successful movies without their star superhero. And did that work? No, it did not work. It was terrible. It was a terrible idea to take these villains, try to make them anti-heroes, not include Spider-Man, and hope for the best. And unfortunately, they got... Am I boring you, Zach?
No, you always do that.
And unfortunately, Sony got rose-colored glasses because Venom made $1 billion, and they were like, oh my God, this could work. Let's get Morbius out there. Let's get Madam Web. Let's get Kraven. And did it succeed, Zach? No, it came crashing down. And as we reported months ago, they were canceling the live-action Spider-Verse villain universe or whatever. They don't even know what to call it. And we were happy. We were happy. Yeah. You know, we were happy because they didn't work, unfortunately. And it's not like we didn't want them to succeed. Yeah. I would love a badass Kraven movie in the vein of The Hunted, which is a great movie with Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro. I love that movie as a kid. They could have done so much cool stuff.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
It's not the idea that's bad. It's the execution that's terrible.
It's the execution. And so the question is, can they make the execution better? Well, that might be the case. This comes to us from Nerdist. They say, can you have a successful Spider-Man movie franchise without Spider-Man? No, you can't. Morbius, Madam Web, and Kraven the Hunter were not exactly the hits that they had hoped. They weren't tough at bats. Reviews were just as bad as ticket sales. But while Sony's live-action Spider-Man franchise ultimately failed, the studio is not giving up on it just yet. It has plans to eventually reboot it with all new people. Thank God. I wish it was new writers and directors, hopefully too. During a guest appearance on the Town podcast, Tom Rothman, Sony Pictures chairman and CEO, offered an update on the future of Sony's live-action Spider-Man films. Rothman said, the human, not live-action, the human Spider-Verse is not dead. Did he know humans voice the characters in the Spider-Verse? I guess not. He also said an ambiguous yes twice when Bellani, the host of the Town podcast, asked if the studio will go back to those movies and if the next films will be a fresh reboot. Rothman said yes again. When also directly asked if that reboot will mean new people, he said yes again and yes. And as for the future of a live-action Spider-Verse, this seems like confirmation for something that felt like a guaranteed already. This is a way too popular of an IP for Sony to just give up on entirely. But the most obvious issue with the first version can't be ignored if the studio hopes for the rebooted version to work. Venom was famous and beloved enough on his own to carry an entire movie or three. Morbius, Madam Web, and Kraven the Hunter were not. They needed a Spider-Man. It didn't and doesn't have to be Peter Parker either. A live-action Miles Morales, a Gwen Stacy, a Spider-Punk, a Spider-Noir could have been the webbed glue to hold these live-action Spider-Verses together, but that didn't seem like the road Tom Rothman wanted to go down. So these should get rebooted. They deserve a reboot, and they deserve a fresh take on what could be a glorious Spider-Verse. But you need something to hold this together. You need a Spider-Man. And it doesn't have to be Tom Holland's. It doesn't have to be Andrews. It doesn't have to be Tobey's from the Bay. It doesn't have to be Nicholas Cage. It could be Miles Morales. It could be a Spider-Gwen. It could be anything. But you didn't do that. And so now that we're getting a reboot, eventually, you know they're working on it. Zach, I want to ask you, what do you hope for in a rebooted live action Spider-Verse, if you will?
I wish it wasn't live action. I think that it would be great if this was animated because they seem to do a good job with animated products. Obviously, Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse are fantastic. They're working on an animated Venom film, and I think with animation, you can just do so much more with the characters that you can't do in live action that will allow them to do stuff without having Spider-Man in it directly and create world building and connections without having to pay live actors to just be in the room together. It's just a lot cheaper to have Craven, Madam Web, Venom, and Morbius in the same movie if it's animated. If it's live action, you got to pay each of those guys $10 million, and now the movie's too expensive. So I wish they would just do an animated version of this because it shows that the Spider-Verse movies are doing really good. Just pluck one of those Spider-Mans from those movies and do a crossover and have them face the Sinister Six and then have those characters spin off and do their own movies. I think that would be the best. But if they're going to go with live action, I think Chris Lord and I forgot what the other guy, Philip Miller, I'm forgetting his name.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Thank you. I think there was a rumor that they were going to take over this universe, and I think it would be a good idea to give them another shot where they start from scratch, and do that. Just have them cast, create a timeline of what's going on. Why are we doing each movie? Like it seemed like what was going on with the DCEU, where they were just telling people to do projects and not knowing what the timeline was because they wrote Madam Web, and then it was supposed to connect to, I think, Tom Holland Spider-Man, but then they realized the year that they picked for Peter Parker to be born doesn't match with how old Tom Holland was, and then they were like, okay, let's switch to Toby, but then they said it didn't make any sense either. It's like that's something that you pre-plan throughout so you don't run into those problems and then make a movie, which I love. I love Madam Web because it's so stupid. It makes me laugh. But that's something that you could avoid.
Morbius randomly having Vulture from Tom Holland's universe in it for some odd reason.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head. If you're going to reboot this live action Sony universe, please, for the love of us, the fans, have a plan. Plan this out. Have it a 5 to 10 year plan with team up movies in the middle, and you could even build a mini Avengers within the Spider universe. You could build a team that goes against a sinister group of villains, if you will, and make it badass. But you need to have a plan and you need to make it make sense. And what you did with the terrible Spider-Verse live action before, it was so disjointed that it completely took people out of the movie, made no sense, and made no one hungry for the next movie coming out. And you just turned off an entire audience because you had no plan. Spider-Man. Come on, Zach, bro.
Oh,
but yes, also because I know this is Spider-Man. But you know, I would say a couple of things. And one, I think having someone like a Phil Lord and Chris Miller, or anyone that is able to shepherd these movies, keep them connected, but also give the reins to different creatives to have a variety of genre of movies within the Spider-Verse is a way where you can make this fresh, exciting, different movie to movie and still have it eventually connect and get people excited to see them all team up once they finally fall in love with these characters. But what you need to do first is just have a good movie. That's all you need to do. Have a good movie, and people want to see the next one.
Or understand the tone that you're going for each film. Venom had this hokey, comedic, R-rated, weird tone that people really like. A lot of people who don't know about Venom enjoyed it. I remember my boss telling me she loved the Venom movies. And all these movies made money, right? Despite critics hating them or whatever. If they would have figured that out and each movie was just in that kind of tone, then this would have been more successful. But they're all totally all over the place. Don't even feel like they could fit together if that's what they're trying to go for. You know, they're not doing one-offs. They were building towards something, and it just didn't make any sense.
I do have to push back on your suggestion to make them only animated. For a long time, you know, with superhero genre, we lived in the animated universe for so long because technology wasn't there, proper storytelling wasn't there. It just wasn't where it is now. And so I think to keep it animated, it's going a little backwards because what you're able to do in live action is very different than what you were able to do 25 years ago. And I don't want to go backwards. I would like to push the superhero genre forwards as we've been doing it. And so that's my only hesitation. I feel like it deserves better live action representations of these characters, of Madam Web, of Craven, of Morbius. I still think there's so much you can do in live action that the animation will take you not out of it, but it won't live up to the potential that these movies could have had. And so that's my only hesitation. On top of that, we are getting a Spider-Verse live action movies. We're getting a Spider-Gwen movie. We're getting a Spider-Punk movie. We're getting a Venom movie, as you said. And so I think two things can happen at the same time. You can have a Spider-Verse animated universe, if you will, and you can have a Spider-Verse live action universe, and they can coexist and be really cool. And if they're so good, that live action could cross over, or I'm sorry, that animated could cross over to the live action, a la Tombstone in Spider-Man No Way Home. And that's No Way Home, you know? And so that would be really cool, right? You're like, oh my God, I love that character from Venom. Oh my God, he's coming out in the new Craven movie, you know, like something like that. So now you're like crossing it over, and now you're like, oh wait, are the animated and this connected? If they're good, you know what I mean? People are going to want to see more crossover. So I think there's potential to use live action and animation simultaneously and really invigorate this Spider-Verse.
I definitely see that.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, I definitely see that. I get what you're saying. We definitely want to have that live action representation. And we did live in animated TV shows for so long before we got movies. I do think that it swung too far the other way. I wish we would have a better mixture of live action and animated stuff, because we only have Spider-Man. That's it. And I just feel like since they failed so badly at doing live action on their own, when they combine with Marvel, they do a really great job. That combination works really well. But on their own, it just doesn't work. And I don't even hate all those movies. I didn't hate Craven. I didn't watch Morbius. And
it was unwatchable, dude.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
They're so
boring. And in terms of like Venom and stuff like that, at least those films are entertaining, even though they're kind of nonsensical. So
right,
I just think they could do a better job and build something a lot bigger.
Oh man. I just saw something. We're gonna talk about the actor awards, the SAG awards, after this episode concludes. We'll just give a breakdown of who has won, but I just saw something with Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah,
that is beautiful. But what do you guys think? Not about the SAG awards, we'll get to that, but do you think that there is potential for a rebooted live action Spider-Verse that there's a different way to go about these villains and make these movies good and individualistic and really build out a true universe and use Spider-Man, any Spider-Man, as a connective tissue. Drop a comment below and they should let us know their thoughts.